Welcome to Lafayette, Indiana for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open here at Star Lanes. And we have an exciting four-man field. We have three righties and a lefty plus a local favorite. Alongside Scott Gilmore's my tag team partner, Dennis Bergendorf. And Dennis, we have an exciting field and a lot of experience.
Scott, we've got a very strong field today. Lots of experience out there. Not only the local favorite, Terry Clayton, PBA winner, Scott Baker, the only lefty today, and also John Burge. He's a relative newcomer, but he's one of the hottest Hoosiers around right now. And the tournament leader, Vinny Atri out of Louisville. He's won just about everything. He wants to add this to his resume.
Matter of fact, he has. He won the 1998 Mini Eliminator in Las Vegas, and Vinny is considered one of the best amateurs in the Midwest area, matter of fact. And he's our tournament leader. He averaged 225. The format was an 8-game field, or 8-game format. Very grinding out, and Vinny Atri came out on top. And matter of fact, led the field by quite a bit.
He certainly did. He turned it on at the end when he absolutely needed to. Great player, can play all kinds of conditions. I've got a feeling today the star may be the lane condition. I think we've got a difficult, demanding shot, and it's going to put a premium on making shots, Scott.
Well, our first match will involve the local favorite, Terry Clayton. He'll take on the lefty, Scott Baker, and let's get this match underway. Welcome back to Star Lanes for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. We're ready to begin match one with Terry Clayton seated fourth. The right-hander against the lefty, Scott Baker. And Dennis, this should be a very great match today.
Well, I think it is, because Terry Clayton is such a phenomenal bowler. He's a consummate professional. And Scott Baker's no slouch either. One of the interesting things, of course, is that we've got lefty versus righty. The condition out there should be about the same for both of them.
It's very important to get off to a very good start here in the first game. Ooh, leaves us weak 10 pin there, Dennis.
Well, Terry doesn't have a ball that really jumps at the end. He's a deceptively good bowler, because when he is hooked up to the right equipment, he will carry hits like that, but that one came in a little bit light.
I'm sure also the first one you want to make sure you hit the pocket so you don't really get it on the ball as well. And he goes for a spare, and he makes it. So Terry Clayton with the marker in the first frame. After leaving a 10 pin, now Scott Baker will throw his first shot on lane 12. And this guy from Connersville, Indiana, a lefty, has a solid game, very fundamentally sound.
He has. He worked with Mike Albee a while back, and Albee got him straightened out. Been bowling great since.
And here's Scott's first shot. Looking good. As it is. Ooh, comes up, almost leaves a half bucket.
There's quite a bit of oil out on the lane, Scott. The bowlers are not going to have a lot of hook today, but they also are getting away from that big hook. There used to be a saying, crank and you go to the bank, stroke and you go broke. Anymore, guys are going straighter and being more successful with the new equipment.
Scott's attempt at the 3-5-6. Going cross lane at it. And he comes up and makes a nice spare, tough spare attempt on that for your first frame in the match, Dennis, and you got to be happy just to come out there with the mark.
I think so. As we said before, you can get a little bit nervous out here bowling this kind of format, and get your game underway. Take a couple of deep breaths, first couple of frames, stay clean, don't dig yourself a hole.
These bowlers went through a very grueling 8-game qualifying block. No bonus pins allowed. Very tough. You can't really have a bad game in there, because if you do, it can very much damage your chances. Here's the second frame. Goes up through the beak, leaving the 4-pin.
Dug that quite a bit.
Pulled it inside his mark. Ball did not hold, right to the nose. Fortunate to leave a 4-pin is only. He's going to try his spare attempt. Going cross lane, probably going to a ball with a little less surface to it. Be able to go a little straighter at it. Most bowlers nowadays do go with the spare ball rather than the strike ball for spares.
They do, and I'm kind of surprised that he shoots it from the far left.
Yes,
most bowlers use the entire lane. He has been talking a little bit during the qualifying about the ball returns. This particular style of ball return extends up onto the approach quite a ways, and a couple of the bowlers that weren't used to it tripped over it a little bit, so I think that may have been what he was doing there.
All right, here's Terry Clayton in the second frame on lane 12. Spare working. The release. Looking good. It's good. And he trips out the 5-7 at the last minute. Terry Clayton takes the lead. Nice shot from Terry Clayton. This guy is the assistant director of the Purdue Memorial Union. Bowls a lot. He's really associated, gets in with the Purdue Collegiate bowling team. He was off to a great start after finishing 5th at Milwaukee. Terry has been bowling for 36 years, and this guy is very tough.
Oh, he's the toughest.
And in the third frame, strike. Leaving the 4-pin, coming up a little high.
I think right now the lanes are, oil is fairly well what we call gutter to gutter. There's not a lot of oil in the center. There's a playable area down there, but it's certainly not like you usually encounter in league.
Well, they did get 50 minutes of practice before this tournament began. As Terry goes cross lane at the 4-pin and nails it. Strike, spare, strike, working now.
So now it's essentially an even match. Terry has a 1-pin lead on the board.
Scott Baker with the spare working in the second. Trailing by 1 pin. And he's flushing a hole. So Scott Baker strikes in the third frame as he is behind trailing 1 in the match. We'll be back in 2 minutes at Star Lane Center in Lafayette, Indiana. Welcome back to Star Lanes for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. We'd like to thank our third frame sponsors, D. Harsh Refrigerated Specialties, Aquarium World, JP Custom Floors, Electrolab, Rifers Furnitures, and Doug Davies Auctions. And Scott Baker steps up in the 4th frame with a strike working, trailing by 1 early in this match. And I tell you, this is where it's become crunch time as you work into the late frames. Scott doing a 5-step approach, really stays down at the line, and that really helps him to be accurate as far as hitting your mark on the lane. And his shot in the 4th going up through the nose.
High. He left the 4-pin on that shot before on this lane, so it could be that it's a little bit drier than lane 12. You mentioned staying down, Scott. That is one of the things that is so important to bowlers. You get leverage, your timing stays better, you can hit your mark so much better. I know that I've always had a tendency to jump up with the line, and I know it's hurt my game.
Spare attempt for Scott, switching balls. Oh, he chops off the 2, off the 4-pin. Open here in the 4th frame for Scott Baker. And I tell you right now, you really do not want to give Terry Clayton too many opportunities like that.
No, and I'm really surprised he's going at those left side spares that far out to the left.
That is a very tough spare. Even your average, your league bowlers, and even some of your top amateurs chop that spare off quite a bit. And that's what happened there. As Terry steps up in the 4th frame with the spare working. Leading by 23. And he leaves a weak 10. He's having trouble. He looks, I've known Terry Clayton for many, many years, and right now he looks a little bit tight, Dennis.
He does. As I said, this kind of format can sometimes make you a little bit nervous. I always like to get in it and think, well, I've got one place sewn up. Worst I can do is get bumped down one.
All right, Terry at the 10-pin, and he nails it.
Good spare.
Terry leading by 12 in the match, going into the 5th frame with his spare working in the 4th.
This could be a matter of survival, Scott, this first match.
Guys are a little tight. First time on television, maybe. We have a very, very, very good field here today as we have John Burge from Anderson, Indiana, coming up in the next match with our tournament leader, Vinny Atria, who is a well-noted amateur bowler. We're very excited by this field as Terry steps up in the 5th frame with a spare working. Looks good. Leaves another weak 10-pin. Just cannot find a ball that seems to dry in the pocket. And what we mean by that is actually make that turn left a little bit harder to snap out the 10-pin. The 6-pin is kind of laying in the channel, not coming out, knocking out the 10-pin.
Terry's dilemma right now is finding a ball that will come back at the end without getting up too much early.
And his shot at the 10-pin, right at it, dead on it. So Terry spares in the 5th, leading by 11. And I tell you, for a bowler bowling in a match play sequence, you love to be sitting on the bench and take the lead.
That's right. That's right.
Scott Baker stepping up here in the 5th frame. Opened his last frame, needing to strike here to kind of set up the rest of his game. Looks good. Oh no, comes up light, leaving the 1-3-6.
We have out there on the lanes what's called an out of bounds. Chad Lister's done the lanes in such a way that there's a little bit more oil outside of the second arrow on each side. And it's going to put a premium on shot making today, as we're seeing already.
The basic goal, I guess, of the shot for this tournament was the pocket, what we call the 1-2 or the 1-3, is easy to get at, but you got to make quality shots to get to.
Right.
Scott's attempt at the spare, and he makes it. So Scott Baker spares in the 5th frame, trailing by 12, excuse me, needing to strike here to get some momentum going. Scott Baker from Connersville, Indiana. He also, his wife is expecting in February, so we want to congratulate Scott Baker and Amy Baker, his wife, who's expecting a baby in February, and I know he's excited about that. His shot in the 6th frame. Coming up once again light, leaving the 3-5, and Scott's having a little trouble. The ball seems to be hanging on him as it's working its way down the lane.
It is hanging out, and I think that he might want to cut down on his speed just a little bit. He's going to pick up about 2 more boards of hook, but he's been high on the other 2 shots, so that was just an adjustment. And he's again left with a choppable spare. Real easy to chop that 3 off the 5.
Scott going to stay with his strike ball at this spare. He's going to go cross lane at it, needing this mark in the 6th frame. And he gets it. Scott Baker marks in the 6th.
This is the kind of match that I just hate to be in because nobody can get any momentum going. You want to throw a couple of strikes, get some confidence, get loose. But right now you're forced to just keep trying to split boards and worried about whether your speed is a half a mile an hour different than the last shot.
Terry stepping up in the 6th frame, leading a 10-pin but making the spare in the 5th. Leading by 13.
DC, come on. Period. Again, another weak 10.
Another weak 10, just cannot trip it out.
It looked like he spun out of that ball a little bit. Probably trying to get maybe a little higher axis. Get the ball to maintain its inertia a little bit longer, but it didn't work that time either.
Terry stepping up to convert his 10-pin spare, changing balls to a plastic ball going cross lane, taking out any hook potential of the bowling ball whatsoever.
Using one of those great white dots by Columbia.
Yes. I'd like to thank Columbia 300 for stepping up today's sponsor. As earlier today, we have given away, the winner actually will be winning a TI boss as well as a first place check of $1,100.
Man, that's not too bad for a weekend work.
No, it's not.
Some of these guys like Vinny, the tournament leader, just go around, and Terry too to a certain extent, bowling weekend tournaments and making a lot of money.
Terry with the spare working in the 6th, here in the 7th.
Oh,
he got it out.
Look at that.
Got it off.
Obviously,
wow, got it outside.
Obviously a problem with the release on that.
Flipping just 3 pins off. 3 count here in the 7th, really hurting Terry. As he's laughing about that, he knew he threw a bad shot. Just got out, and there is a definite out of bounds. And Dennis,
definitely.
What do we mean by when we say out of bounds?
Well, as I said before, they've got a little bit more oil outside of about the 10 board, somewhere in there on each side of the lane. And that means that you've got a little area down between 2nd and 3rd arrow where the ball's going to get what we call a reaction. It's not going to get a reaction out where he threw it.
And Terry for the spare. Oh, he misses, leaving the 3-pin left behind. So Terry opens here in the 7th frame.
You know, if we were in league, we'd be joking about how he found a way of getting the 10-pin on the first ball by throwing it out there and hitting the 6th pin. But obviously we're a little bit serious today.
So Scott Baker stepping up now. The match is almost even. Terry opening in the 7th. Scott with a spare in the 6th has a chance to come up and take the lead. Oh, nice shot by Scott, leaving the 6th pin. Normally, bowlers will carry that shot. They'll trip the 6 out. That time Scott left it.
That's one of the telltale the markers that we have in the game. If you're doing like Terry leaving weak 10s, you really need to change equipment. If you're not getting the 4-pin down or the 6-pin in the case of a lefty, you want to probably change equipment or make some sort of change.
Scott at the cross lane spare converts it easily. Leading by 5 as we enter the 8th frame. And just like we were saying earlier, when Terry was sitting down and Scott taking the lead,
well, that's just it. You're taking the lead by sitting down.
Scott going to step up here in the 8th. Leading by 5. Comes up, trips out the 7-pin for a strike. So Scott Baker takes a 5-pin lead. We'll come back. Welcome back to Star Lanes for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. We have a very close match as Scott Baker leads by 15 pins here as Terry Clayton with an open in the 7th, working in the 8th. And situation now where Terry really needs to come out. He's left 4 or 5 weak 10 pins here. He needs to come out and trip a 10 pin here and get a strike here in the 8th frame.
Well, time's starting to run out.
Here's Terry's shot in the 8th. Do it better. Got a strike in the 8th frame.
That's better.
Much better shot from Terry Clayton as he trying to cut that lead of Scott Baker's down. We want to also thank sponsors, Awards Unlimited, the Toonies Mobile DJ Service, Payless Supermarkets, Edward Glen Country Club, Advanced Business Equipment, of course Nirvana Family Restaurant, and Von Tobel Lumber and Hardware for their contributions to make this tournament possible. And
Great
right
list
now,
of sponsors.
Yes, it is. And right now, Terry, if he strikes here, will take the lead in the match. Strike working in the 8th. Here he is in the 9th frame.
Come on, ball. Come on, come on.
Oh, man.
Coming in, bad break, pocket 4-9.
Came up a little bit high, but boy, that 4-9, that's something you don't want. And on today's condition, it's a difficult spare to make.
The loser of this match will walk away with $350. Of course, the winner will move on to face John Burge in the second match. And Terry makes it 4-9. What a shot by Terry Clayton. My, is he stepping up to the plate there, Dennis.
Oh, what a shot. What a shot.
And I tell you what, that's the kind of shot that can take the wind out of your sails if you're sitting on the bench. Because at that particular time, Dennis, you're thinking, hey, I've got a little break here. The guy's going to open. And Terry comes right down and makes it 4-9.
Yep. Now, one thing that Scott Baker did was he changed balls. We said that things weren't working with the other one. He went from a very complicated core design to a very simple one, what we call a two-piece. And it hooked earlier.
Ooh, nice shot from Scott as he wraps the 4-pin around the 7 as what we call a stone 7.
Stone 7.
When the 4-pin wraps around high around the 7.
Pack 7.
So we have...
Called a real tap.
As Baker leads by 5 pins going here as we're getting ready to work in the 10th frame. Very good chance for a tie maybe here. As Scott changes balls, goes cross lane at the 7th, and he makes it.
Perfect shot. But like you said, that just takes so much out of you because you've thrown 2 really great shots. You've got a ball that's working. But now you go up to the next frame wondering, is it really working? Are we going to do the same thing? Will he squeeze it to try to get more stuff on the ball? A bowler like Scott, probably not, but a lot of league bowlers will.
Scott Baker needing a double, 2 strikes, and 6 pins to shut out Terry Clayton. Nothing less than that, Terry has a chance to step up and take the match. His first shot in the 10th frame. Oh, and he wraps another 7-pin. And Scott's wondering, what's going on? Give me a break.
I wonder how he's going to shoot this. Remember, he shot his 6-pin, or the 4-pin rather, from the extreme left. Is he going to shoot his 7-pin?
I believe he will. He wasn't on the ball returns here, so I imagine he's going to try to play things as tight as possible. Scott's has spent 9 years of bowling. His highest sanctioned game, he has 11 300 sanctioned games, and his highest sanctioned series is 811. And here's his spare attempt at the 7 pin, and he makes it.
You mentioned having a high of 811. All the bowlers here have had at least one 800 series in their life.
Well, that's one thing that I've never accomplished yet. As a matter of fact, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, you and I bowled on a Monday Night League, and you shot, and I sat there and watched you shoot an 800. So the best bowling I have ever witnessed.
Thank you. That was to me that's a bigger thrill than a 300 game.
And Scott, first fill ball in the 10th. Going through the beak, breaking up the split, but it didn't really matter. He gets 8 pins, so Scott finishes the game with a 181.
So the situation is Terry needs to double.
He has to throw the first 2 in the 10th to win this match. Terry Clayton,
he's been a little more lined up on the right lane.
He struck on the last frame on this lane. His greatest accomplishment to me, he told me earlier, was winning a PBA regional and then finishing second in a Brunswick World Team Challenge in which he bowled with Vinny Atria.
That's right.
Here's his first shot, needing a strike.
Get up.
Got it wide.
And he gets it! Terry Clayton with the first one in the 10th. And I tell you what, you and I have bowled league many years with Terry Clayton. And when it came down to crunch time, he was about as tough as they came around in this area.
That's right.
Plus, he's a hometown hero in the crowd, getting into it a little bit here as he's needing this.
I'll go out on a limb. He'll hit the pocket.
Oh, don't go out too much on a limb there, Dennis.
I won't say he'll strike, but he'll hit the pocket.
All right, and Terry needing a strike here in the 10th. Second shot. He needs this and 3 pins to win the match. Here,
Come on, Terry!
Come on!
and he gets it! Terry Clayton stepping up to the plate. All he needs is 3 pins. Basically what we say, just keep your feet behind the foul line and keep it on the lane. And I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls out his plastic ball and just goes right up. But then again, in a situation like this, you might almost consider just throwing another strike shot.
Well, I would. I'd use it for practice. I'd just make sure I didn't foul.
Do what's taking you there, I guess what they say.
Dance with who brung you.
And Terry needing 3 pins.
That's enough.
And he got it. Terry Clayton winning the match. And a dandy it was. 188 to 181. Right now, we're going to step aside and take the tip of the week, sponsored by Columbia 300.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, my name is Ron Hickman. Today I'm going to talk about flare potential. I chose 2 balls to describe this phenomenon. One, the Columbia 300 TI Boss. The other, the Columbia 300 Renegade. First, we're talking about the TI Boss. The TI Boss is a large flare potential bowling ball. What happens is, as the bowling ball goes down the lane, it rotates on a new surface all the way down the lane. This allows for maximum friction contact between the ball and the lane surface. This type of ball works best in heavy oil, where maximum friction is definitely desirable. Now we'll talk about the Renegade. The Renegade is a little bit different. It's a low flare potential bowling ball. As this bowling ball goes down the lane, it initially has some flare potential also. It gets to a spot and begins to rotate in its own oil. What this does is this allows the ball to get down the lane a lot further, thereby creating you a lot later hook, which is optimal for dry lane conditions. For more information, see your local pro shop. That's your tip of the week.
Welcome back to Star Lanes in beautiful Lafayette, Indiana for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. And now we have Terry Clayton, who won the first match against Scott Baker, 188 to 181, taking on our second qualifier, John Burge, out of Anderson, Indiana.
You know, following the match, I asked Terry if he was trying for a strike or if he was just keeping the ball in bounds, and he said, oh heavens no, he was just trying to hit that head pin. That throwing the ball out of bounds kind of scared him. He said he didn't want to do that again.
His first shot in the game number 2.
Say, man.
Starts off with the pocket 7-10, tough break, and that is a bowler's nightmare. You expect when you hit the pocket, at least have something to leave, to hit a spare at, and now you have really nothing.
You know, I first got started in this game 30-some-odd years ago. Nobody left the pocket 7-10. And now you see it all the time because of these reactive balls and the top-heavy pins.
Terry going cross lane and hard out of trying to bounce it out. Doesn't. Takes off the 7-pin, so he opens with an open.
It'd been nice to have seen that made. We saw Mark Roth do it, and who else made it on national TV?
John Mazza.
John Mazza, that's right.
And both of them bounce it out of the back.
It's the only way you can make it. You can't get the ball left or right enough to slide it over.
John Burge with his first shot here in match number 2.
Come on, John. Come on.
And he trips him out for a strike.
He took a lesson from Terry on that. That was the same hit exactly that Terry got to both of his strikes in the 10th frame of the last match.
John with a smile on his face. I'm sure he's tickled to death just to start with a mark, as both bowlers in the first match seemed that they were really tentative early on, and then kind of loosened up a little bit as Terry doubled in the 10th to win match number 1. John Burge from Anderson, Indiana. 3 kids, a manager of a village pantry. He's been bowling for 32 long years as he leaves a 10-pin here in the 2nd frame.
Again, that long oil. The ball wasn't hooking much when it came back to the pocket and did not get the 10-pin. John's one of the few guys who's been real successful using what's called a cobra. That's the wrist support with the digit finger. Most good bowlers don't use that, but he uses it and uses it well. There's a close-up of it right there.
I want to thank Ron Hicklin for doing our tip of the week during this telecast. And John picks up the 10-pin. John's highest game sanction is only $2.99. Only, we say. And his highest sanction series is 821, the exact same score that Terry Clayton has for a high series.
It's kind of surprising that he's never had a 300. Maybe that's sanctioned.
Maybe he bowls in a tough house. As Terry steps up after leaving a 7-10 in his first frame, stepping up in the second. Looks good. Trips out the 10th pin. And Terry Clayton now trailing by 11.
I don't know if I were Terry, if I'd be filled with confidence right now that he hasn't been getting the 10-pin down with any real authority.
Well, he's left a couple bad breaks early on, Dennis. He left the 4-9, which he made, which won in the match, basically.
Yeah.
If you look at that. And then the first frame here in the second game, he leaves a pocket 7-10. So Terry can cut that lead to 1 here with a strike.
Watch his 5-step approach.
Smooth as he stays down, ball coming up.
No, another 4-9.
Wow.
That's 2 on that lane after a 7-10 here.
Lane 11 just does not like Terry Clayton so far this afternoon.
Fortunately, if he gets this far, he gets to finish on lane 12 again.
Get over there, ball.
Nope.
Didn't make this one.
Could possibly have bounced it out.
Another open frame for Terry as he trails by 22 in the match. And John Burge will step up in the 3rd frame, leading. And the thing about it is, Terry has given John a lead.
Right.
While John was sitting down.
Again, you said it. He was on the bench and he took the lead. In fact, he's up by about 20.
And John stepping up in the 3rd, trips him out as John strikes in the 3rd frame. After 3 frames, John Burge leads Terry Clayton by 33. We'll be back from Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana. Welcome back to Star Lanes, Lafayette, Indiana, for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. John Burge striking in the 3rd, stepping up here in the 4th, leading Terry Clayton by, excuse me, I said 33, 23 pins.
23 on the score sheet.
Terry with 2 bad breaks here in this game, a pocket 7-10 and a pocket 4-9. John stepping up here in the 4th, going right through the nose, leaving what we call the double pinochle.
Double pinochle.
Before 6, 7, 10. And right now, if you're John, you just want to get 2 and step off the approach.
Yeah, get 2. Because he's on a strike, and if any pin you lose, you multiply that by 2.
I want to thank our sponsors once again. as John
Look out,
tries to
he
get
threw it in the
to
gutter.
He's going to throw it in the gutter and not get any count. That's going to hurt. Write that down, Dennis, and see if that comes back to haunt John.
Oh, it does.
I want to thank our sponsors, Dean Hart's Refrigerator Services Specialties, Aquarium World, JP Custom Floors, Electrolab, Rifers Furniture, Doug Davies Auctions for helping us produce and plan this tournament. All their contributions were very much needed, and we want to thank them as well as Terry Clayton steps up here with a chance to cut this lead to 5 pins. Stepping up in the fourth frame. Yeah, and he got it. Trips out to 5. 5 goes back a little weak, but he doesn't care. That's a strike on the scoreboard.
Now you see the change that Terry has made. He's throwing the ball probably 2 miles an hour slower than when he first started. He's making sure it gets into a heavier roll early, and essentially by way of his speed, as much as anything.
When John threw the spill ball or his spare attempt in the gutter, that cost him 4 pins. So we need to really make
4
sure
extra
that
pins.
if that comes back to haunt John at all. Terry with a strike in the fourth, stepping up here in the fifth with a chance to cut the lead to 5 pins.
Look out, he went left, went left.
And he gets to Brooklyn. As Terry comes up with that little humorous left-handed release.
Well, they call him Lefty Clayton where I come from.
And, you know, Terry was laughing about that. I'm sure he said, you know, I can't leave a split going Brooklyn, I don't think, so.
It'd have been something if he'd have had the 7-9, though.
Exactly. Terry taking the lead here in this game as John Burr steps up in the fifth frame. It's better hold. And it cuts through the beat again. And
another one through the beat.
The 4-10. Fortunate to break out as the 6-10 is fortunate to break out the 4-7 there in the last minute.
That's right. Now, I don't know how much confidence he's going to have on this. I think he'll make it, though. Because you're not trying to do anything fancy. Just hit the head pin and don't chomp.
Has John goes cross lane to pick up the 6-10, and he makes it with ease. So a spare in the fifth frame for John Burge.
You youngsters in the audience, that's how you make that.
As he trails by now 5 pins. Excuse me. As he trails by, matter of fact, John trailing by 15 here in the fifth.
In the background there, the gentleman with the red Cardinals cap is Alan Merringer, long-time bowling great here in Lafayette.
Big-time Cardinal fan as well.
Oh, yes.
Ball better hook, and it does. Ooh, leaving the fourth pin. A little high, but still, that's a shot most bowlers expect to carry on a regular basis.
You know, Scott, what they've got right now is fairly green lanes in the sense that they haven't had very many games bowled on them. They only got about a half hour of practice before the television lights went on. And a little later on, they'll probably track in and what we call open up. But right now, they're very difficult.
And John cross lane after fourth pin makes it with ease. As Terry will now step up in the sixth frame.
He's working on a double.
By 16. And great turnout to watch this program this afternoon. As we have a former Team USA bowler here in Lafayette, Indiana, coming out to watch David Hurt. I want to thank him for taking his time out of his busy schedule, as we know, to watch the program. As Terry Clayton steps up here in the sixth frame with a double working. Looks good. And he likes it, and he gets it. Three-bagger for Terry Clayton.
I haven't seen Terry this animated in a while.
You know, I watched Terry in the last four-game block yesterday, and he was in fourth position as far as the cut was concerned to make the TV show. And he had a double working in the seventh game, and he threw a three-bagger, and most emotion I had seen from Terry. And he said this is very important for him to win today, because if he does by chance win the first place, he's planning on heading down to Florida and bowling in Brunswick World Team Challenge event with our tournament leader, Vinny Eater. And Terry's stepping up here in the
What a team that is.
Come on, baby.
He likes it, and he gets it. Terry Clayton taking control here with a four-bagger.
Now, it looked to me like he threw that ball differently than what he did on the right lane. It looked like he had a hand far more behind it. On lane 12, he's spinning it a little bit. Also looked like his speed was up a little bit. This guy is a master of changing release, changing speed.
Very, very talented. John Burge needing a strike here with the spare working in the sixth.
Good pitch. Come on. Get up.
And he gets it. After 7 frames, John Burge trailing by 36. We'll be back from Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana. Welcome back to Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. And we are in the 8th frame now, and John Burge with a strike in the 7th, needing to strike here as he trails by 36 pins in this match. Terry Clayton with a 4-bagger.
Well, John has moved a little bit more inside.
Come on, John. Carry it. Come on.
Looks like a good shot. Could not carry the 10 pin. Nice shot in the 8th. That, you know, all you can do as a bowler is concerned, you're just going to hit the pocket. You can't control how you carry or what the percentage of your carry is. I want to thank our sponsors once again for helping us put on this wonderful tournament. Awards Unlimited, Tooney's Mobile DJ Service, Payless Supermarkets, Edgewood Glen Country Club, Advanced Business Equipment, Nirvana Family Restaurant, and Von Tobel Lumber and Hardware. And John Burge just missed the 10 pin.
Pretty well gave up the match there. I'm sure he wasn't trying to miss that or giving up on the spare, but it's late now.
Loser of this match will take home $450. The winner of this match will move on to face Vinny Atria, a highly notable amateur bowler from Louisville, Kentucky, in the championship match. Terry in the 8th frame with 4 strikes working. Looks good. And he gets it. And I tell you right now, Terry Clayton is lined up.
He's lined up. He's working on a 5-bagger right now. One of them was lucky. It was a Brooklyn, but all the others, in fact, every ball this game except that one's been in the pocket. So he knows where to throw it now. He's got the right speed. I think if I were Vinny, I'd be a little bit nervous.
Terry Clayton leading by 48 pins as he's working in the 9th frame. And pretty much this strike here would lock up the match. Looks like it's a good shot. And he gets it, and that'll be the match. As Terry Clayton has strung 6 here.
When a guy gets locked in on a shot like this, it's not the easiest in the world. I want to applaud a good shot, but I know I'm supposed to be objective here. But I have been a big fan of Terry Clayton's for so long.
John Burge has been bowling for 32 years, and I'm sure we'll see him back here at this tournament. And he carries, trips out the 7 late. So John strikes in the 9th, and he'll step up into the 10th frame.
For these good bowlers, that 10 hit like that is considered a high percentage shot. I think the late Billy Whaley would say, hit him thin, watch him spin.
John can strike out for a 189. Terry's on pace 247 if he strikes out. And Terry has not missed the pocket this entire game. John, first ball in the 10th. Nice ball, and he smacks the hole for a double. And now he's wondering, why didn't I do that earlier, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how much easier it is to throw a good shot in the 10th frame when you don't have much of a chance.
It's so amazing that, in the first ball in the 10th, you'll leave a corner pin, but the field ball always carries. I mean, that's just
yeah, it works that way.
And John with his second ball here in the 10th frame with a double. And he comes up leaving the half bucket. The 245. So John Burge will walk away here with the 3rd place check of $450. Still a nice payday.
Not a bad payday at all.
For a weekend's work.
It's going to set up a heck of a title match.
Yes, it is.
Vinny Atria and Terry Clayton.
John Covers finishes with a 169. So Terry Clayton will move on in this championship match. Terry has 6 strikes working right now, and let's talk about this little title match we have coming up. Terry Clayton and Vinny Atria just came back last weekend from going in the Brunswick World Team Challenge in Columbus, Ohio, as Terry strings of 7 in a row. Now, it's going to be really interesting. Terry was talking, one of his greatest highlights was finishing 2nd in a World Team Challenge, and the anchor bowler of that team was Vinny Atria.
Yeah.
So these are 2 old-time friends. We're going to be going at it head-to-head here, vying for $1,100 first place check and a brand new Columbia 300 Ti boss. So a lot at stake. And do we have quote-unquote?
Is he locked in?
He is locked in. That's 8 in a row now for Terry Clayton.
He's got about as much natural ability as anyone I've ever seen in the game. A lot of guys can make things happen. A lot of guys, I think I've been somewhat successful because I'm somewhat versatile and can, you know, make changes and stuff. But man, this guy, talk about being able to lock in and just start throwing strikes.
What do you do if you're Vinny Atria as you walk in and this guy's throwing 7, 8 in a row, make it 9 in a row as he finishes with the last 9? Terry Clayton wins over John Burns 247 to 169, and that'll set up a tournament title match. Terry Clayton, the 4th seed, versus the number 1 seed, Vinny Atria. We'll be back in a short minute for the final match. Welcome back to Star Lanes for the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. And Dennis, we have one heck of a match between Vinny Atria, our tournament leader, and the number 4 seed, Terry Clayton.
Yeah, I got a feeling Vinny's going to start striking here.
Vinny stepping up here in the 4th frame with the spare working in the 3rd. Trailing by 31.
Got it out to the 12 board.
That was a good pitch, and he leaves wraps the 10. Tough break for Vinny there. He threw a good shot. I'm sure he liked the shot, but didn't like the result.
It looked to me like he threw it a little flat. Maybe a couple of more fingers would have gotten in the strike.
Trailing by 18 in the match. Excuse me, 22 in the match. And he goes cross lane after and he makes it. Wasn't for sure about that one. He stood there and looked at it for a while, making sure that ball skidded another 10 feet.
We heard a couple of the audience members go, oh, oh, oh. There's so much oil out there, though, that it's going to be probably the only place you're going to miss a 10 pins to the right.
Once again, I would like to thank my teammate, Ron Hicklin, on the Purdue College team, collegiate team, for doing our tip of the week about ball motion. I want to thank him for doing that, taking time out of his schedule. As Vinny steps up here in the 5th frame with the spare working in the 4th.
They got it wide.
And he likes it though, and he carries it.
Stand back perfect.
As Vinny strikes in the 5th frame. I want to thank those sponsors once again that make all this possible. Dean Hart's Refrigerated Specialties, Aquarium World, JP Custom Floors, Electrolab, Dick Mansfield there at Reifers Furniture, and Doug Davies Auctions. With their contributions, we have made this tournament happen and become a very much a success as Terry Clayton steps up in the 5th frame.
Nice slow release.
And
oh, didn't get the 10.
5 pin's not going to go down. 5 pin stays up as Terry now leads by 20 pins.
Well, I think our two bowlers know what walking on eggshells would be like. I mean, this is, you can't overpower this kind of condition. You just got to be very careful. Terry's probably grateful that he didn't have a 5-7.
As Terry makes his, attempts his 5 pin spare, leading by 21, covers it. These two are the consummate professionals as they bowl together in Brunswick World Team Challenges. They know each other's games, but the thing about their games, and like we were talking earlier, and we talked with some other people here watching it, is their games are very simple. There's not much to go wrong with them. They keep things, very accurate. They're very, when you do stuff repetitive over and over again, you're going to become successful at about anything you do. So, at least what these two guys are very successful as Terry steps up in the 6th frame.
I threw that one hard.
He likes it, and it sits up in the pocket, and he carries all 10. So Terry steps up, maintains his 21-pin lead.
I wonder if he's got to change the philosophy there, because he threw that one with authority. Like I said, the other couple of shots he babied. You mentioned that these guys are very talented and very basic, have a very fundamental game. They're also not exactly youngsters. Vinny, 53, Terry in his mid-40s.
Yes, and Vinny, with some experience on television, won the Mini Eliminator a year ago. He likes it, and he trips down the 4 pin. As he doubles now to cut that lead of Terry Clayton's down to 11 pins.
Now, Vinny's putting some tape in a ball. Apparently not real happy with the way he's releasing it.
The key to bowling well is the feel has to be just right, and sometimes the air in the room, the moisture, the humidity, the heat will make your thumb shrink or swell, and the bowlers have to adjust to that, and that's why you see bowling putting tape in their thumb hole.
A lot of guys that have a lot of experience and bowl a lot, their thumb will actually go down rather than swell. People who lay off for an entire summer and then come back, the first 3 games, their thumb will swell up like a balloon, but it's funny that if you're out there a lot, that thumb will actually go down and you'll end up putting tape in the middle of a match.
Vinny stepping up here in the 7th with a double working cut the lead to 1 pin. And he liked it, and he leaves the weak 10 pin. Liked that shot. It was a good shot, just did not trip out the corner pin. So Vinny will step up and attempt his 10-pin spare here. Trailing in the match by 12.
Perfect cover.
And this guy is as solid as concrete. Doesn't make very
Solid
many.
as concrete.
Does not make very many mistakes. And I tell you what, when you get to this kind of a level, you just cannot afford to make mistakes and be successful. And this guy does not make many mistakes, and that's why his resume of achievements is unbelievable. This guy has 5 classic titles. He's won the Mini Limiter of 1998.
Won the Super Bowl High Roller, the Hardee's Classic, the 50 and over High Roller, Early Bird, 5 gold medals in the Tournament of the Americas back in 1996. Mini Eliminator just this past July. Member of the Louisville Hall of Fame.
I mean, what more can you say?
Well, he's never won the Brunswick Tournament of Champions.
Yeah. We should say yet on that. And Terry Clayton stepping up here in the 7th frame with the strike working. And increases his lead to 22. And he leaves the bucket. Did not like the way that ball came out of his hand at all. And it showed by what he left the bucket. And this is a very tough spare, Dennis, as you're looking right now at the 2, 4, 5, 8.
It's very tough because there are so many ways of missing it. You can miss it to the right, you can miss it to the left, you can chop the 5 off, or the 2 off the 5. You can actually hit it fairly well and still leave that 8 pin. So Terry's giving it a real good look here.
And what makes this spare very tough is the fact that you're on a challenging condition.
That's right.
So spares are a premium right now.
You can't throw it right and have it hook into the pocket. Got to go right at it.
And he's going to go hard at it.
Hey, chop, just like we said. Now we've got a match that's virtually even. It's virtually deadlocked.
Yes, we do. As Terry Clayton opens in the 7th. After 7 frames, Terry Clayton leads by 10, but he opened in the 7th. We'll be back at Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana. Welcome back to Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana. Our tournament title match here between Vinny Atria and Terry Clayton, virtually deadlocked as Terry opened in the 7th frame.
That's right. Terry's got 136 in the 7th. Vinny's got 1/16 in the 6th, but a spare in the 7th. So that means that if he strikes, they'll both have 136 in the 7th frame. So we have a virtual tie right now, Scott.
2-frame roll-off if the competitors tie at the end of this match. Terry in the 8th. Likes it, and boy, he's just ripped the rack on that. As Terry now sets himself up, and now he just turns the pressure right back over to Vinny.
That's right, he does. He put the onus on Vinny. Terry aggressive again, and on that 11th, lane 11, the left-hand lane.
I'm not going to predict anything, but I have a feeling that these two might be bowling in Florida here, not too in the distant future, in a Brunswick tournament champion. They're holding in down in Florida. Vinny he likes it, and she strikes in the 8th frame. And I tell you what, Dennis, both guys stepping up to the plate here.
That's right, they are. Again, we're tied. Vinny got his strike in the 8th frame, which gives him the 136, and Terry also struck in the 8th. They are tied to the pin.
They were both laughing earlier, and Vinny was talking to Terry's wife, Debbie, and saying, you know, if Terry wins, does that mean he's going to Florida to bowl with me in a Brunswick World Team Challenge tournament? Debbie had kind of laughed. These two are very fond of each other, good friends, bowling for $1,100 first prize.
And 700 second. The worst they can do is 700.
As the field did not feel right, he's going to work on the tape.
And I've had a feeling that he has not been releasing the ball the way he likes today.
You just can't get a comfortable feel, and that's the best way to do it. If you don't like the feel, don't just step right back off, go through your
Well, I know that's something that I've worked very, very hard at. I have my own drill press, bought it from Bob Schlintz a few years back, do it in my own basement, and I work hard at getting every ball absolutely identical because you can throw one ball just so well, and then you need a little bit more back end. You need a ball that goes longer, so you take a different ball out of the bag, and if you can't release it the same, it's so hard to do it right.
Yes, just like golf, feel is everything to these players. As Vinny steps up with the strike in the 8th, working in the 9th frame, as this match is deadlocked.
Looks good.
Oh, he trips the 4-pin from somewhere. I don't know what pin came back to knock the 4-pin down, but Vinny takes the break, and he takes a 10-pin lead.
I wish we had
now come up.
instant replay here. Terry's putting some rosin on his fingers. Apparently wants to get a little more lift here.
But the key to that strike was, Dennis, that Vinny cannot be shut out in this match.
That's right, he cannot.
We have a great crowd on hand to watch this exciting finals match here on television. As Terry, first ball.
A little more aggressive, a little more aggressive.
Yeah, he likes it. Wow. Ooh. There you go. Terry Clayton doubling in the 9th, matching Vinny's break in the 9th, as this match is now tied going in the 10th frame.
Terry's gotten very aggressive now.
It's just checking the approach. Must be something on the approach. He'll pull that off.
Or something.
I want to thank our 7th frame, or excuse me, our other sponsors in this to help make this tournament possible. Awards Unlimited, Tooney's Mobile DJs, Payless Supermarkets, Edward Glen Country Club, Advanced Business Equipment, Nirvana Family Restaurant, and Von Tobel Lumber and Hardware. As Terry steps up first ball in a 10. Ooh, and he
Man.
leaves a 4-pin. Ball looked good, but it hooked up a little bit hard at the end, and as he left the 4.
One thing we haven't seen today is trip 4s. We haven't seen very many swish. Not the real strong kind. Vinny got one there, but we don't know how that 4-pin fell.
Terry will make his 4-pin spare. If Terry gets 10 pins here, he'll finish with 205. All Vinny would have to do is get the first one in the 10th. But if Vinny might chance get a 9-count first ball, we could have a tie in a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. So this is a very, very important shot for Terry.
Pretty good shot.
Oh, and he wrapped a 10. As Terry Clayton finishes with 204.
Here's a situation, Scott. If Vinny strikes, he wins. If Vinny gets 9-count spare strike, he wins. If Vinny gets 8-count spare strike, it's a tie. So we have all kinds of possibilities here.
Yes, we do.
That T word is looming over this match. 2-frame roll-off if we do have a tie, 9th and 10th frame.
Vinny was dead flush in the 8th frame last time he bowled on lane 12. And this is the lane he's on now to finish this match. Big shot. Strike wins the title.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
He leaves a 4-pin.
Just like Terry did. In fact, they even threw it similarly.
So as Vinny's got kind of a smile on his face, I'm sure.
That was a wry smile. That was not one of happiness.
As we have a great possibility for a tie in this match.
He's got to make the spare first, or it's all academic.
I would put my money on Vinny to make this spare.
Ooh, that's not a hard one on this shot. For these guys. Look at that, sweet.
Dead on it.
I once was bowling against a guy who made the 4-pin and like that, and I said, boy, that was lucky. He said, well, what do you want me to do, hit it 3 times? He had both of them on those 4-pins. They pinned the pin against the back kickboard. So here it is. Strikey wins, 9 tie, 8 he loses.
I want to thank my girlfriend Karen Wimbiger for coming out and watching the telecast today. Her help has made this tournament very much a success in my opinion. And also my mom and dad, John and Linda out there, which will be watching this
Terrific
telecast as
tournament
well.
for a first-time tournament, Scott. Very good.
Here it is. Strike, he wins. 9, we have a tie. Anything less than 9, and Terry Clayton wins the match.
Here's the shot. He swung it wide.
Terry Clayton wins the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. 204 to 203 is our final score. We'll be back in a couple minutes and interview the champion of our first annual tournament right after this. Welcome back to Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana, where we just take place the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open, and we're here with the winner, Terry Clayton, who defeated Vinny Atria 204 to 203. And to present the winning check to Terry Clayton is the owner of Nirvana Family Restaurant, Spiro Moisidis.
Terry Clayton, on behalf of the Nirvana Family Restaurant, I would like to congratulate you for first place and present you with a $1,000 check. Congratulations. Great bowling.
Thank you very much, Spiro.
Also on hand this afternoon during the award ceremony is the owner of Star Lanes Bowling Center, Holly Conrad, and she's going to present Terry Clayton with the winner's trophy and $101 bills. Okay, Terry, a couple questions I would like to ask you. First of all, what were you thinking after going into the 10th frame? What was your mind control, and what were you just thinking of? Were you wanting to just make a quality shot, or what?
Right, Scott. Actually, going to the 10th frame, I think we were pretty well tied at that point, and so I wanted to put the pressure on Vinny, of course, to strike, just like Vinny wanted to put the pressure on me to strike. And I thought I made a good shot. Came up a little high, left that 4-pin. Thought I made another good shot on the field ball, too, and left a 10-pin. And so then I was just sitting back, and it was all in Vinny's hands at that point.
I noticed before we got to the tournament title match, you ran into John Burge in the semifinal match, and lane 11 was giving you trouble, you know, for actually a couple games in a row there. You left a 4-9 in a game earlier than that, and you left another 4-9 in a pocket 7-10. What kind of adjustments did you make on lane 11 than you did on lane 12?
I actually moved my feet in just a half a board on the approach to kind of get the trajectory a little further away from the head pin and get it back into a good roll coming into the pocket. And it seemed to work at that point.
Then jubilation after you won. What do you plan on doing? We have heard rumors that possibly you might be going to Florida to bowl on a Brunswick World Team Challenge with Mr. Atria, the second place finisher. Is that true?
Well, I'm not going to Disney World, but it's pretty darn close, I think.
Well, it'll be up to Debbie what Terry does, but we'd like to congratulate Terry Clayton from Lafayette, Indiana, winning the first annual Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we've had one of the more exciting final matches that I think we've seen around here for a long time. Scoring wasn't real high, but came down to 1 pin. You needed a strike to win, 9 to tie. You only got 8.
Well, that sometimes happens. You always like to be in a position to win, but you always like to make a good shot, too. But I did make a bad shot, and sometimes you carry those, and sometimes you get 6. It was one of those, you could have left the big 4, but I made a real bad shot. Terry bowled a good match.
Terry is awfully tough. You guys have faced each other several times. You're no strangers to one another. Go back to that first shot in the 10th. You threw a pretty good shot and left the 4-pin.
You know, I had left a 10-pin earlier in the game on that lane, and I got it in a little bit, and it was the tighter of the 2 lanes, and the ball went long and left the 10-pin, and it looked like a 10-pin all the way. So I wanted not to stay too firm with it because I had left a washout on that frame earlier, too. So I had told myself I just wanted to not get overly firm, and I liked the ball in the 10th, but I got a little too soft, and it left the 4-pin. The next one, I got even softer, and after reflecting on it and talking to you a little bit off camera, I realized what I did do. I just I dropped the push away a little too soon and lost my speed, got up there ahead of the ball, and pulled it. I mean, I think I may have got it a little wide, not only soft, but wide, and then it's definitely going to be high.
Right, came up a little bit too high, and that ended the match for you. You got a second-place check, $700. Scott Gilmore.
All right. We've had a great, exciting tournament. Terry Clayton defeated Vinny Atria at 204 to 203 in our final match. And that wraps things up for Dennis Bergendorf. I'm Scott Gilmore. See you everybody in Lafayette, Indiana. Thank you.